It's time to take off your clothes, enjoy clothes-free living, and join us for Naked, Nudists, and Naturists.
Welcome to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, the show that celebrates clothes-free living for all. I'm your host, Frank Stone.
And I'm your correspondent, Lisa Monroe, and I'll be reporting on all things within the Naturist community. So it's time to get naked and join us.
And enjoy clothes-free living on Naked, Nudists, and Naturists. Well, greetings and welcome into Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 60 today. We appreciate you being with us. We've been waiting all week to see you, to walk through the door and ready to celebrate a full hour of clothes-free living for all of the right reasons. You already know the score here. The pool is fine. The hot tub is ready to go. We have steaks on the grill, fruit and vegetables off to the right, cold drinks to the left, hot drinks inside, plenty of towels, suntan lotion, chairs. Many of you brought along desserts. We appreciate that as well. Those are right by the door. Help yourself and have a great clothes-free living hour for all of the right reasons. Well, on today's show, we will play part one of an interview with a fascinating lady from the UK. Her name is Laura, and she runs a business called Naturist Cleaners. It is exactly what it says it is. You make a phone call, you go online and book a house cleaner, an apartment cleaner. He or she shows up, takes their clothes off, and cleans your place in the nude. Nothing sexual, nothing untoward. In fact, you can't even get too close to the person while they clean. Naturist Cleaners. We'll talk to Laura, part one, in just a few moments. Lisa Monroe will pop in. We will go over a couple of emails that we recently received from our listeners. We'll talk about Linda Weber, and now she is the president. She's no longer the president-elect. She is the president for the American Association for Nude Recreation for at least the next 2 years. We'll talk about her ever so briefly. And then we will have part two of my interview with RONNA KROZY. She had been the chairperson for the PR Committee for the American Association for Nude Recreation ever since 2017. I was told she had the position today until this afternoon, but actually she relinquished that chair a couple of days ago at the annual convention ceremonies. But part two, a very fascinating information in conversation with RONNA KROZY today. As a reminder, we are the official podcast for the American Association for Nude Recreation. Are you a member? If so, terrific. If not, today could be your day. Just go to AANR.com, follow the navigation, and you will become a member today. How about that? Well, again, you are listening to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 60 today. And now let's get to part one of my interview with Laura, the owner and founder of Naturist Cleaners in the UK. We are headed over to the UK today to talk to a lady who owns a business, Naturist Cleaners. Yeah, you heard that correctly. She books people who work for her. They come to your home or apartment, wherever you live, and they will clean your place in the nude. I think everything should be done in the nude. Everybody knows that. Everything within reason, not heavy machinery, but certainly cleaning. Why would you clean with clothes on? Well, she's providing that service for you. So let's bring her to the show from the UK, Naturist Cleaners, and the owner, Laura. Good morning, Laura. How are you today?
Good morning, Frank. I'm very well. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. This is a business that should be universal. It should be the only kind of cleaning service out there. Why would you ever wear clothes when you're cleaning a home? You know, you have to bend and twist and lean over, and you get hot and sweaty. It makes no sense, does it?
Well, clothes could be very distracted and also could be difficult to meet with certain clothes. So sometimes cleaning the nude it gives you more flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
You sweat, so you sweat, freely. You don't block any parts of your body,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just feels nice.
It really does. And I know a lot of people who clean their own homes in the nude, whether they're naturists or not. I have some naturist friends, obviously, they clean in the nude, but even some people who are not, they don't identify themselves as naturists. When they clean, the clothes come off for all of the reasons you just mentioned. They have more freedom. They don't have to worry about getting stuff dirty or ripping a shirt. It's just, as we like to say here, clothes-free living for all the right reasons, but now clothes-free cleaning for all the right reasons.
Yes.
Now, I'm curious, this business has been going on, according to what we have here, since 2017. you told me before we started that you're not necessarily a naturist. You're not in the community, for lack of a better term. So how in the world did you get to the point where you have a naturist cleaning company?
So I was a young mom, as mentioned previously, Frank, and I came up with idea to do cleaning company and just a standard cleaning company. And one day, I think pretty much when I launched my domestic cleaning service, I had phone call from one of naturist person who lived in the community in local area, and he inquired whether we provide cleaner who could come to his house and who could be completely new cleaner would do regular cleaning. And then I think 2 months on, we started, just chatting to the client, how the service is going. And we said, well, maybe it would be interesting if you one day maybe find me a cleaner who could come and join me. And, she could be naturist and do cleaning service for me
Mm.
while I'm just doing normal daily tasks, like reading newspaper, watching TV, or working by my computer, and while she cleans or do ironing for me, completely neat. And that's what gave me all this, interesting business setup idea. I started to Google and checked how much actual naturists there are. And I surprisingly found that UK or worldwide is a quite big population of
Oh yeah.
people who live that lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
and they go not on the beach and sunbath in nude, but they also just likes to be clothes free and live their normal life, but completely nude in their own houses.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so I started to look for people, and I think a couple months later I advertised because I started with couple websites where they allowed such it was a platform only for adult industry where you can advertise for anything new. As you know, it's very restrictive. Like once you advertise something with words naked, nude, or naturist, you will be blocked. So it's very limited space. You can actually put your advert and say, okay, that's my company. We offer nature cleaning service, and we're looking for some people to work for us. And then I started to use social media, which were tricky, but it allowed me to publish some posts with naked pictures, so naked cleaner cleaning house, and saying that we're looking for some people who could join us. And then, we had really big attention, loads of people interested to work for us, but also at that point, media and specifically, I think it was Manchester Evening Standard newspaper who caught this ad and he runs me and say, "Oh my God, so interesting! Tell me more."
Okay.
And
Yeah.
everything. It was like from that point, I had quite several interviews with newspapers,
Mm-hmm.
then some television. They said, "Oh, could you come on our program? We want to film you." Then British television, they have I think program called Outsiders, where they talk about unusual stories. And they came to London and they filmed 3 days with our cleaners, me, and they showed on TV as well what we do. So that's how everything started. Yeah. So that was beginning of my journey.
That makes sense to me. And a couple of things I want to put out there for our listeners. First of all, while you run a naturist cleaning company, you yourself are not a naturist, which we mentioned. You also do not go out and clean homes, right? You stay in one place and run the business. Is that right?
Yeah, I think we can't be do two in one, or we
Yeah.
can't cover all. So
Right.
my background, and I always like to run things rather than do things.
Right.
So I think, I'm better at managing people than actually maybe providing service. And
Sure.
my beliefs, I came from small country, and where my childhood and everything was quite strict and limited. We didn't have such freedom. And I think clothes or nudity well, nudity was a big taboo. So no one talked about any sexual things. And it just, that's where it came from. And for me, naturism, um, and naturist beliefs sort of open bigger picture and new world. And when I started this business, maybe I didn't really understand in a way, but because I came from country and started to live in UK is very multicultural country, and we have all sort of background and cultures living in one, different beliefs, different lifestyles, different religious. And I think, it's very pretty in the way that we all so different, which is again very natural. The nature is just one of, that well, differences. And I think it's very good to be different.
Also, I want to put it out there in talking with you before we started recording and also checking out your website and with some other people. It's important to put out there for our listeners as well as for your business. This is a 100% non-sexual experience. People pay for your people to show up, privately take their clothes off. They don't do a striptease in the living room. They go into a side room or a back room, take their clothes off. They come out nude. They clean. And when they're done, the clothes go back on and they leave. Nothing else goes on. And you make that very clear, not only to your workers, but to the clients as well, right?
That's 100% true, Frank. And that's what we do. So we advertise directly for nude naturist cleaning, for naturist community. So clients can be nude and cleaners will be nude. But there are strict boundaries and also distance. They can't come too close. They can't touch. And it's no sexual services involved. So cleaner rights, undress privately, bathroom or another bedroom, and just come back to client, spaces, and we'll start cleaning.
Okay. Now, in my neighborhood, there are some homes that use cleaning services. I don't, not yet anyway. Maybe one of these days I will. But I see the ladies showing up, and the first thing they do is they get out of their car, they go to the trunk of their car, and they take out tons of equipment and materials, a vacuum cleaner, a floor scrubber, and every cleaning solution under the sun. But in your case, Lisa, I saw this on your website. That is not how you run things, right? The client has to provide the cleaning materials, the vacuum, whatever they want used, the client provides. So your worker merely shows up, walks in and says, here I am, where's the stuff? And I'll get busy. Is that correct?
That's okay. That's also very true, Frank, and very good research. You don't know our company. But yes, so we are cleaning service with exist. But what we do, because again of safety and PPE, we don't wear one, right? So we have to limit our services to certain cleaning tasks we can do. So we can do, like, for example, dusting, hoovering, mopping. We can do surfaces. We can use very light cleaning products. Again, we recommend to have like environmentally friendly cleaning products. So yes, our client has to provide, because again, cleaners sometimes travel from the public transport, so they can't carry much. And because it's not involved like end of tenancy cleaning or very deep cleaning, we don't require heavy equipment like machines to hoover or wash the carpet. So little small bit is sometimes required. We can bring with us, but normally, yes, that's the key requirement for clients to have all they need. Also, you are the best person as a client because you live in your house. You know what you need. So so you could just have everything ready for the cleaner when she arrives.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me. Now, it also says on your website, we're always thinking, okay, I'm going to hire a cleaner. She'll come over nude and clean my house or my apartment. But they can hire more than one at a time, right? You can have 2 or 3 show up. Of course, you have to pay for each one, but that's allowable, right?
That's allowable. And also some clients, they have very big houses. So one cleaner might do a standard cleaning agency. So it could be 1 or 2 if you prefer quicker work. And one cleaner could do ironing, other cleaner could do hoovering. So it's available.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. The terrific Laura from naturistcleaners.co.uk from the UK. Little inside baseball information here. We had booked her for a 10-minute interview, and while I was talking to her before we started recording, I realized this is going to be a lot longer than 10 minutes because she had so much to say, some great information. So that was part one, and we will get to part two of my interview with Laura from Naturist Cleaners on next week's show. Well, you are listening to Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 60 today, and I don't know about you, but I think I hear some music sneaking in. Could it be? Yes, it is. It is time for the one, the only, the terrifically over-the-top, clothes-free and smiling Lisa Monroe. And here she is, the one and only, the completely over-the-top, smiling and clothes-free, our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Good morning, Lisa. How are you today?
Good morning, Frank. I'm doing terrific. How about you this fine morning?
Not bad at all. It's been one heck of a week. We've had the Olympics finished, the clothed/textile Olympics finished.
So boring.
AANR, the American Association for Nude Recreation, has changed over the leadership. They just did that within the last few days. In fact, today is the last day of their annual convention. So life is beginning anew. How about you? Did you get outside? Did you get to the beach, a nude resort, your backyard, anything?
Yeah, backyard mostly. We're very busy this week as well, so didn't make it to the beach, but hope to this weekend. And besides, the weather wasn't terrific last weekend, but it was Florida, so it's okay.
Okay. All right. Very good. Well, we have a couple of emails this week. One from a gentleman in France. He was one of the first ones to catch on to our show. I think he wrote us right after episode number 1, which hit on July 1st of 2023. We've had a brand new show every single Saturday since then, a full 1-hour show. But he was one of the ones to say, hey, first of all, welcome to the club. And you guys are really good, so I appreciate you. And we always return the favor. And he sent us an email. And why don't you go, if you don't mind, read the first paragraph.
Okay, I'll be happy to. Greetings from France and happy anniversary. I listened to the latest episode of your podcast while working out, naked as always. Your discussion about being a nudist or naturist made me smile, like the one of being nude or naked. At the end of the day, the most important thing is to enjoy life clothes-free with friends who enjoy it too.
There you go. And he also said, I wanted to let you know that my nudism series of books has been revamped with new covers and 2 new editions. You can find the 5 books on Amazon, and we'll talk about that in a minute. With that, all the best and keep up the great work. And Nudist regards, and he is the founder and owner of the website we want people to visit, nudeandhappy.com. All things nude, naked, naturism, clothes-free living on that site. And if we look at his Amazon page, the titles are in no particular order, or maybe they are in order. The Comfort of Nudity or Nudism, 12 Ways to Become Comfortable with Nudity or Nudism, Embracing Nudity or Nudism, 101 Ideas to Increase Nude Time and Nudist Friends, Nudism, and Becoming a Nudist, Nudism. That's his series of books. What do you think? Isn't it great to have terrific authors out there who know what they're talking about and can put it in the written word?
It really does. And I've read some of his work, and he's a terrific writer. I mean, the words just flow and the ideas are great. And his commitment to nudism and naturism is exceptional. And I have to tell you, when he first found us and he posted a link on his website, our website blew up from
Yeah.
the people who apparently were interested. So he was a real kind of pioneer for us in getting the word out about the podcast.
Yeah, he really was. And on his Amazon page, when I fired up the one book, 101 Ideas to Increase Nude Time and Nudist Friends, the description is nudism is a wonderful lifestyle. However, it's tainted with a lot of preconceived ideas, and you cannot really understand nudism until you try it with other nudists and become a nudist. And this particular book, the 4th in the nudism series, introduces 101 activities that you can carry out entirely naked. Some are obvious, some less so. They are providing great opportunities to increase nude time in the number of our nudist friends. Some readers have put some on their to-do lists. Some have discovered new experiences. In all cases, this book will help you discover nudism with a new lens. I was thinking about this, and I have not read this book yet, but it's on my list. In fact, he offered to send all of the books to us. We need to take him up on that whole idea. But really, we did this a few months ago. We just invited people over. We're going to have a nudist, naturist, clothes free day. You want to come over? Bring a plate. You don't have to. You can just show up and enjoy the day with us. That's certainly one way. Just invite people over for that specific purpose. We're going to be clothes free today, non sexual, nothing inappropriate, nothing untoward. We're just going to enjoy the company of each other. That's certainly one way to do it. Anything that jumps on your mind?
I think that that's an excellent way to do it because if you have like minded friends, then everyone becomes more comfortable
Mm,
doing that. But I read through his list at one point, and there were a couple of things that stood out to me. And I think one of the things is just be honest about who you are. If
mm,
you have a magazine like the AANR bulletin, or you have something on that you have been reading, leave it out. Let people see that you have an interest in it. Don't make a big deal about it, and then maybe they'll pick it up and go, "Oh, wow, do you read this?" Well, yeah, I do. So maybe breaking the ice that way. You just have to get out and be active. Go to a club or go to a resort. Go out in your garden naked. Hopefully, not get arrested doing it, but
yeah.
but but making sure that people know what you do.
Yeah, no, very well said. And in his bio on Amazon, he's been a nudist for years, if not forever. Over the years, he made it his life philosophy and lifestyle. He's become passionate about it. He created the blog Nude and Happy and all these books. So go ahead and visit him, nudeandhappy.com, and we thank him for that email. We have another email from a previous gentleman who sent emails to us before we read on the air. Ramaswamy, I believe he's from India. If you don't mind, can you read the first paragraph on that one?
I certainly can. Hello, Frank. In your conversation with Dr. V and Aziz, you had asked about attitudes to nudism or naturism around the world. If I may, there have always been societies where people wear little or nothing. In the Andaman and Nicobar Islands in India, in the Kalahari Desert, and the Amazon rainforest, it may be partly being practical, but there may be a deeper significance. I read that some of the First Nations in Australia regard nudity as part of practicing harmony with nature. Well, really, they didn't think of themselves as separate from nature.
Of course, European explorers saw not wearing clothes as being uncivilized. And I like this next sentence. One can only ask, do people say in the USA become uncivilized when they visit a nude beach and then re-civilized when they leave the beach?
That is a question to ponder.
Yeah, for that matter, I don't suppose Benjamin Franklin and Harry David Thoreau got in trouble for advocating air baths before dawn. And that's a great way to look at it. Okay, so we are uncivilized. We're going to the new beach. We got to change over from being civilized to uncivilized. And then when we leave the beach, we have to retransform into a civilized person. It just gets beyond silly, doesn't it?
It is beyond silly. I mean, again, we're putting labels on people because of something that they've done or who they are. And you know how I don't like those things, but it's not we certainly haven't committed any crime. We just took off our clothes, that's it. And it shouldn't be a big deal.
No, and as other people have pointed out on this show, that is how we were born. It's not like we invented this out of the clear blue sky. You came out with no clothes on. At least I did. Were you born with an evening gown and high heels and whatever else? I'm guessing not.
I certainly was not. And that would have been a little bit uncomfortable because I was a southern baby and it was
Yeah.
hot then. So not fun.
That would be kind of cute. A baby boy is born. Oh, look, he has a blue tuxedo. His
Yeah.
brother had a black tuxedo when he was born. No, we're all naked. We're all clothes free. So it's totally normal, isn't it?
It's very normal and it's very sad that we have restricted our enjoyment of life
Ugh,
to the fullest
yeah.
by putting these civilized and uncivilized uh, captions around to what we do.
Yeah, very much so. The last thing to mention, we talked about AANR, the American Association for Nude Recreation, changing over leadership this past week, just within the last couple of days. Linda Weber, obviously, is our new president. I think everybody knows that. And we are going to have her on the show reasonably soon for a full hour interview, spread over two shows like we always do, just to discuss everything AANR, what she has in mind, what other people have in mind, what we can do to improve and make it better and grow the membership. So I'm looking forward not only to the next interview with Linda Weber, but the next 2 years as well. And I'm guessing you are too.
I certainly am. Linda has, I think, some innate enthusiasm about naturism. It's a passion and a commitment for her, and I have a feeling her head is just exploding with ideas of things to do and directions that the organization can take. And I think it's going to take her leadership, and then it's also going to take the cooperation of everyone to help her get these things done because it's obvious from the election that people wanted a change. And, it's not that things were bad, it's just that they know things could be bigger, better, greater, more things for every member to enjoy. So let's get behind her and help this out.
That's right. When she wins, everybody wins, and that's
Mhm.
the philosophy around here. It's just we're in this together. Let's just work together to make it better for everybody. It's one of those duh moments, DUH with an exclamation point. Hello, duh. Let's
Exactly.
let's work together and everybody
Exactly.
wins. How about that?
I agree completely.
All right. Well, Lisa Monroe, we do have to head for the hills. Always great to see you. Always great to talk to you. Do you promise a close-free week this coming week?
I certainly do if you do.
Absolutely. All right, Lisa. Thank you very much. Have a terrific close-free week. We'll see you next time.
Okay, Frank, you too. Bye.
Bye. The terrific Lisa Monroe, always a ray of sunshine when she shows up here. And yes, to the other ladies in the studio / office, same to you. It'll keep me out of trouble for at least another day. You are listening to Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 60 today. We thank you for being with us. Clothes-free living for all the right reasons. And now let's get to part 2 of my interview with the very terrific RONNA KROZY. Well, it goes back to your premise earlier in the interview, just not being a secret anymore, just being out there. Because when you start keeping secrets, that's when the stress level goes up. Oh boy, I got to bob and weave and hope they don't find out. And we had the one guy on the show last spring where married for 25 years, never told his wife that he was a nudist. He was a nudist before he got married, just never told her. 25 years into it, he had to sneak around. He went out of town a lot. So when he was out of town, naked in the hotel and see if there's a beach or a resort nearby. And that's how he lived his nudist life, totally apart from her. She didn't even know about it. And when he did tell her, 25 years into the marriage, she was accepting of it, which doesn't always happen. And now their marriage is greater than ever. She's not a nudist. She has no problem that he is. And now he's just, wow, I can relax and live my life and not have to sneak around. Huge difference, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if you have to lie, you know,
Yeah.
lying causes stress.
Oh,
Lying
big time.
causes fear.
Yeah.
That's where this fear of discovery comes from.
Yeah.
What if this person finds out, or what's going to happen? And so this is why, for me, helping the world to understand who we are, this is where we need to go.
Yeah.
We need to be able, if, like I've said, if every person was open about their nudism, then it wouldn't be something unusual. We wouldn't be a vulnerable minority.
Right.
We would be part of the mainstream, just as I said, vegetarian, sports fan,
Yeah.
nudist. It would be all the same.
Yeah.
We have a ways to go. And so something like, having your show, having social media, having people out speaking about it. We really need to have, and I'd love to see us strengthen AANR.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully this is one of the ways that we do it,
Yeah.
because it does help to have as many voices as possible. The more voices you have, the stronger you get.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully people who are card carrying nudists will be proud to talk about it. That's one of the other things. If you belong to any other civic organization or volunteer organization, you're usually pretty proud to say, I belong to Kiwanis, or I belong to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But to say I belong to AANR, you put your money down, you have a card, but you feel constrained to talk about the organization, even though it does wonderful things. It protects you. It's there for
Oh,
you. Fighting the laws that continue to try to get passed to hold nudists back because
right.
of crazy reasons. Well,
Yeah.
crazy in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we really need to strengthen the organization. We need to strengthen people so that they have the confidence to be able to share their authentic selves with others.
Yeah, and you hit on it just a moment ago. That's exactly why we do this show. I've had a lot of experience in radio, a lot of experience presenting, a lot of experience in the corporate world. I kind of know my way around the block, and a nudist since the day I was born. And we don't sound like a bunch of crazy people. We don't sound like a bunch of wackos or hiding behind the trees or anything. We're just normal human beings living the life, and we every day is basically stress free. We just don't feel stress around here. I'm sure there is stress. We have deadlines to meet, but it seems to be joy involved. Like, okay, great, we have 3 hours of work to do in 5 minutes, let's do it, no problem. And everybody smiles and laughs, and we get it done somehow, some way, and life continues on. And it, you can't stress it enough. I hate to use the word stress in that case, but
Right,
we
right.
can't put it out there enough. Once people try it, they realize, oh, this is not weird. It's actually normal, natural, and I feel 1,000 times better. And we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. We're talking to RONNA KROZY this morning. She is the chairperson of the PR Committee of the American Association for Nude Recreation. And Ron, I want to shift gears a little now. Let's talk about AANR, the American Association for Nude Recreation. How long have you been in this current position as the director or the chairperson of the PR committee?
Let me think. I think it's 2017, so it would be 7 years now. And
Oh,
I was also a trustee for 3 terms, so that was 6 years as a trustee. I am also part of a subcommittee which I'm happy to talk about, and then I'll talk about Anna again. But the
yeah.
subcommittee is visible altruism, and this is to demonstrate to the world that nudists are civic minded, that they care about people, they care about the environment, and we are going to be doing our first Nudists Give Clothing initiative around Labor Day.
Okay.
So we're going to be asking all of the regions to share with their members the that we would like to gather clothes. I think we're going to say something like, we believe that um, you know, clothing free when possible, but clothes when necessary.
Yeah.
Somebody just mentioned the term. I think I said to you, or I guess it was to Jennifer, functional nudism. You
Yeah.
know, we all have to wear clothing at some time, and I
Sure.
think,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so, but the thing is that not everybody has clothing, and so
Right.
we are going to be donating gently used clothing to shelters for children, families, men, women, families who are living in shelters. And so,
Wow.
yeah, and so we're very pleased. This is our first initiative. If by mentioning this on air we can get more participation, that would
Yeah.
be fantastic. So as far as my role with Anna, many years ago, I was on the PR committee with Anna East, our eastern region, and then because we had my brother unfortunately died, and so I had to leave that for a while. But I've been an Anna member for a very long time. Actually, my first year as a member was 1993, and
Wow.
so and then there was a bit of a hiatus when the person I was dating at the time, it dissipated. But
Yeah.
then I met my husband, and I said to him, I'm a nudist, and I miss the way the life we had and the friends I had. And he said it wouldn't be a problem. I thought, okay, you're a keeper, and and the rest was history. So, but I was asked years ago to do something, in an official capacity, and I was still working. I had 2 fantastic mentors. One was a past president, Susan Weaver,
Okay.
um, who was a mentor, and I loved her dearly, and she passed on. And Fred Van Nest, who was also one of the directors of the East, and we had here at Solaire the Anna East convention, and that was quite a number of years ago. And that's when I was asked if I would run for something. And so they finally twisted my arm, and now
Yeah.
I've been very involved,
Yeah.
extremely so, to be honest.
Okay. So, what kind of things are going on with your committee? I know you've mentioned social media a couple of times. Anything else going on there with your committee to get the PR out there about Anna and how great the organization is?
Well, we are trying very hard to be present on all of the social media platforms. It's we have a marketing department. We have a person who pitches to various media to talk about our activities and events.
Mhm.
We try to report, all around the country, the kinds of things that we do, the bike rides, the naked gardening day, nude recreation week. Uh, I mean, we're trying to do as much as we can. Unfortunately, we're a voluntary organization and charitable organization, and it's a 501(c)(3), and so we're not a big corporation with a lot of money, so we really have to utilize the resources that we have. And I have to say, I work with some incredible volunteers. I mean, I'm a volunteer, and
Right.
you know pretty much all of the committees and the committee chairs are volunteers. I mean, everyone except for the paid staff. So
Yeah.
we do the very best that we can, which is why we really need to be reaching out to the public, and talking. We need to talk to one another. We need Each person needs to be able to tell one person, so
Yes.
that we need to refresh our population. We
Yeah.
need to bring new demographics in, younger people,
Yeah.
people of various ethnicities. We really need to spread the word and get many more people to come in to understand how we live and to embrace it. So,
Yeah. Well, I've noticed, and maybe it's just me, you tell me if you've noticed this too. There seems to be a trend with the younger folks, and by younger, I mean, let's say 20 to 35. They seem to have more of an interest in this now than that same group might have had 20, 25 years ago. I'm not sure why. We can analyze it forever, but have you noticed an uptick in at least interest in the younger crowd?
well, yes, and we know that younger people, there are some groups of younger people um, that gather together, and they're not AANR members, and so of course this is another population, people who are already nudists but are not members, that we're trying very much to educate about the
Mhm.
fact that helping us, joining would be very helpful. But the
Right.
younger people don't seem to be joiners. They go to the beaches. They want to
Mhm.
be free, and they don't want to make as many, commitments or become part of a club. Some of the clubs, appear to be much older people, and they don't feel that they can interact. Although I have to tell you, Solaire, where we are in Connecticut,
Yeah.
we have a slew of younger people coming in, buying property. There's one family with little kids.
Mhm.
We're seeing the kind of going back to how it was when we first arrived. So I think we need to understand, and we need to have many more young people as part of our organization on the leadership, so that they represent a good part of what we want the face of nudism to look like. So, and it's happening. It's happening, little by little. Certainly, we have younger folks on our social media committee. They they know what they know what they need. They know what they like, and they're very astute at reaching out to the proper using the proper channels. And
Yeah.
that's why we have this committee. It started out as the Youth and Diversity Advisory Committee,
Oh,
because
okay.
that's exactly what I was hoping to see: more youth and diversity. Timothy, who is the chair, he has a blog, Almost Wild, and then we have Lee, um, who's just fantastic with social media. So we have some really cool people sitting on our social media subcommittee, who are really assets for the organization.
Well, that's good to hear. And that was actually going to be my next question as you were talking about that. You're a volunteer, you're the head of the PR committee, you're the chair.
Mhm.
You have people on the committee with you, all volunteers. You have some paid staff at the office. How many people on a day to day or even a week to week basis are actually involved with the PR of AANR? I'm guessing it can't be a whole lot, but enough to get things done in your book?
Well, that's an interesting question. Let me say one other thing. So, several years ago, my committee conjoined with the membership marketing committee
Okay.
because so many of the issues overlap.
Yeah.
While you're attempting to sell your product, you also have to have a good, public face. And
Right.
so, the chair, Karen Leahy, um, by the way, she'd be a good person to interview.
Okay. Hey, let's get her on.
Just yeah, I mean, she's in the Hall of Fame in her region from the Northwest as well as Anna. She's a
Oh, yes. I know who that is. Yeah, I've seen
okay.
her online before. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, she's on our meet and greets, which we should
Yeah.
talk about also.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, I mean, we have a committee of I don't even know how many people we've got between the two groups. I think there are 41 people.
Wow.
Part of them are invited guests and officials. Part of from my PR committee and part of from the membership marketing. And so a good number of those are, they're faithfully attending our monthly meetings and our
Yeah.
social media meetings, and they're working very hard.
That's actually more people than I would have thought, and that's a very good sign. That because sometimes if you get too big, you can't get enough done. But you don't want everybody making decisions. You have a small core of people who get together and make the decisions, then you farm it out. Okay, Bill, we need you do these three things, and Mary, you do these three things, and that's how it all comes together. So it sounds like you have a lot of people helping in the PR marketing department, which is great, and we need more of that, right?
Right. Well, because the paid staff, I mean, we have only one person who is the director, the paid staff director of marketing and communications. And so, one person can only do so much.
Right. Yeah, especially for an organization as large as ANR is. Now, as you head into the next couple of years, and we agreed, even though we have a new president now, we agreed to not discuss that because the changeover
Mhm.
is coming, I believe, today, August 17th, or either really close. I just haven't kept up on it.
Yeah.
Uh, what are you looking at? If you could decide this, and maybe you can, if you have the authority to do so, over the next couple of years, maybe one, two, or three things you'd like to really focus on and hit home and make it bigger than it is right now?
You mean as a directive to the president?
More in your shoes as the director of the PR
What
committee.
would I like to do? Well,
Yeah,
I would always like to see us strengthening our marketing
yeah,
again. Um, there are so many things that we could do, but again, things cost money. For example, um, I think we should have focus groups of the public to ask them, "What do you know about nudism? Have you ever thought about it?" And to have it sort of a educational for us to understand how we need to direct our efforts.
mhm,
Um, there, there needs to be more like on TV, little spots on TV. Again, things take money.
yeah,
But it's
true.
really in marketing. Who we are, our lives. Pieces on. We've talked about having like a YouTube, an Anna YouTube.
Yeah,
There's the other thing that has been part of the goals of the committee when I first put the goals together would be to have a coalition of all of the nudist organizations, just as a I the maybe call it the international coalition, of nudist associations, or ICANN, associations of nudist ICANN,
yeah,
International Coalition of Associations for Naturism Nudism. So
yeah,
it'd be a catchy
yeah,
ICANN. But um again, it
yeah.
takes it takes time and it takes energy, and nothing is easy. So
Right.
once you start something, you have to follow it through.
Yeah,
But again, we need to support ourselves. We need strength behind our movement. I've often said we need to be more militant, although I don't like that word, but
right.
just we need to be more out there.
Yeah, because if you don't do it, nobody will. If AANR people don't promote AANR, nobody else will. You've got to promote, ourselves.
And it's a great organization.
Oh yeah, I remember when I first heard about it. It's been a long time. I thought there's actually an association for this. This is great, and you check into it, and you find out it's all for the right reasons.
Hmm.
And so the more people check it out, they realize, oh, this isn't sexual thing or body shaming thing at all. It's the polar opposite, which is great to see. Now, do you see a day where now you talked about a coalition, and obviously there are a few naturism, nudism groups in the United States, but others throughout the world, including the international one. And I know you're working together to some degree. Is there a way to pull everybody together, or would that necessarily be worthy? Because whatever they're doing, for example, in Spain or Australia or Africa, is going to be at least slightly different than what we do in the USA. What are your thoughts on that?
In for one international organization, in order to be part of their organization, you have to pay a certain amount of money for each member, and
Right.
it's prohibitive.
Okay.
Again,
Okay.
so I'm thinking it would be more like memorandum of understanding,
Yeah.
where we would be able to cite what we believe with backing from other organizations
Hmm.
that deal with nudism and naturism. We know that in the United States, it's approached differently than in Europe, for example.
Yeah.
In Spain, in France, in other countries, nudism is not as shocking. It's allowed on the beaches.
Right.
There's a different attitude, but here we've had the influence early on from the Puritans who
Oh,
came to this country, and
right.
and so we have a different attitude about being naked than you find in the other countries. So that has to be taken into consideration. But when I think of a coalition, again, I think about people who would be willing to put their name on backing, certain freedoms, and
Okay.
because it would look better,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if we were able to say we've got 15 countries who practice this or whose laws look like this, and we need to be more in line with that. It's the ideas are out there. I
Yeah.
think we know what we need to do. It will take time, it will take energy, and it will probably take money.
Yeah.
And those are the three ingredients that can promote change. If you're willing to put your own time, energy, and money into a movement, into something, most times people will accept it. But when you're asking others to provide the time, the energy, and the money, you have to have a really good game.
Yeah.
So that's reality.
Uh,
But I'm a positive thinker.
yeah.
Yeah, I've seen change in my own time, in my own life, where many times when you tell people you're a nudist, they say that's interesting. I'm not sure that I would do that, but it sounds really cool. It sounds interesting, and that's better than being shocked. I have a very dear friend who said exactly that. I don't know that I would do it, but there's nothing you could do that would make me not love you. And I said, that's all I need. And so she asks me all about what am I doing and where am I going, and people are happy with me and for me, whether or not they participate, and I'm happy with that. At least I know they know who I am. They have a positive attitude of me. And
Yeah.
that's what I'm hoping that happens with other people, is that they know the individual. And so it's a so what moment. So okay, you skinny dip, big deal.
Hopefully we'll get there.
Right.
And people in your life, for example, they see you as a happy, positive, stress-free person, and maybe they'll get to the point where, why don't we give this a shot? Rana seems to have her life in gear. Let's give it a shot. And if, like you said it earlier, if you can convince one person, I can convince one, and so on and so down the line. Suddenly, we have this, lack of a better term, big army of people saying this actually works and it actually makes life better, right?
Right. Well, that's the other thing that we advocate. Just tell another person,
Yeah.
tell somebody. And really and truly, with in this day with Facebook and all the media that we have, one of the things that is often done at nudist camps is that you're introduced by your first name. You know, you're John of Mary and you're, you know, Barbara of Bob,
Yeah.
because nobody wants to have their last name because of confidentiality, the fear, you know, the fear that, again, that someone's going to find out. But then you go on Facebook and you see their whole name and their family and everything else. And so we have sort of this understanding that publicly you don't say, you know, I look forward to seeing you at Solaire, because someone
Right.
will look it up and realize that, you know, it's a nudist place.
Okay.
But I always introduce myself by my full name. If you, I have to walk the walk, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I am the PR person and I would like others to feel as comfortable as I do.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want people to think badly of me or to think something that isn't true about me.
Right.
And so for that reason, I have to say who I am, and I have to tell them this is what I do. I'm loud and I'm proud, and I
That's right.
would hope that I could instill in others that same sense.
Absolutely. And you're doing a great job of that, by the way. RONNA KROZY of the American Association for Nude Recreation, or AANR, AANR. So if somebody hears this interview, and lots of people are going to, and maybe some who have never heard of AANR before, that happens every once in a while, they say, you know, I think I'm going to give this a shot. How do they find AANR? How do they join? How much does it cost? And what are some of the benefits they'll get from it?
Oh, that's a very long question. They can go on the ANR website, AANR.com. All of that information is there,
Okay.
including all of the ANR clubs that they can go to.
Mhm.
As a member, they get a discount to other ANR clubs. I mean, there are other benefits, but I have to say the main benefit of becoming an ANR member is that you are joining a community of like-minded people,
Yeah.
and you are part of promoting the freedom to be clothes free, and you know, allies, and so there are many benefits. We have a meet and greet that happens on the first and third Thursdays of the month. Now
Mhm.
it is open to people who are not ANR members, but the vast majority are, and those who are not often join because it provides for community. We have at least 12 different topics, and if we don't have the topic you're interested in, we will create one, and that actually is overseen by Karen Leahy and Walt Stevens, and so that's a great benefit. I mean, there are discounts for, you know, I think AAA and
Yeah.
getting rental cars and things like that,
Yeah.
but my sense is you are joining an organization that is protecting you, and that
Yeah.
promoting more places that we can go and that we can be clothing free
Yeah.
and feel comfortable and feel safe and not have to worry that, you know, it's going to be looked down upon by anybody.
Yeah.
So, and the other thing, of course, which I should have mentioned, is our government affairs team.
Okay.
That group, which is head by Tim Mullins, who is running for president, they
Yeah.
do an absolute fantastic job of keeping on top of every potential bill that would impact on nudism.
Yeah.
And there have been some recent threats, and we've been very successful, you know, seeing that those bills don't go through. The other thing about Anna is our legal protection. We and they've reached out even when the situation hasn't been involving Anna, but they reach, or I should say, when the situation has involved people who are not Anna members. The legal protection, for example, in situations where there's a divorce and a
Yeah.
parent doesn't want the child to go to the nudist resort with the other parent, there are papers that have been developed that can be sent to lawyers explaining what our philosophy is. And to the best of my knowledge, we have been extremely successful in those kinds of cases, so that it
Great.
isn't looked at as any kind of abuse or anything in, you know, inappropriate. So you know, the benefits are incredible. You're joining people who are really committed to nudism, who are committed to promoting nudism, who are committed to preventing bills from stopping us from enjoying the way we like to live. And it's the oldest organization. I believe it's 93 years old.
Mhm.
We're gearing up for our 100th,
Yeah.
slowly but surely. I'm hoping that I'm here.
Yeah,
I'm not
absolutely.
years, but I
Yeah,
would love to be able to celebrate 100 years of AANR. So,
not that far away.
yeah.
You had told Jennifer, our administrative assistant, and you mentioned this during the interview, you're a functional nudist. You prefer to be clothes free, but if it gets cold, you're going to put clothes on.
Well, I've dropped the shoulders on the
That's what I was going to ask you about.
but I turned the heat on because it's been cold here. My
Uh,
cabin was only 64 degrees. So
oh gosh, yeah,
being cold all the time is a problem for a nudist. Um,
yeah, you're right.
I,
Not a fan of that either. That's for
yeah,
sure.
no, I wish my
Uh,
parents, when their ancestors came, I wish they had gone to Florida because
right.
then I would have been able to be nude all the time. But New England was cold,
Uh,
so
yeah, there's a big difference for sure. Well, anytime you come down here, clothes free and living for all the right reasons in Florida, like almost every day of the year. So, what are you waiting for, Ronna? What are you waiting for?
we come down and we come for the meetings when
Yeah,
in Florida. We also come down and visit friends. We have so many friends, and that's the
yeah,
other thing.
yeah.
We have so many friends who have invited us to their homes. We have dear friends who are in Northern Ireland, who
Well,
we met at a nudist resort years ago, spoke with them for 1.5 hours before we were going home. It was in Spain, and we just clicked. And the following year, we were invited to their home in Northern Ireland, went with them to a wedding that was in England. We went across on a ferry, came back, and then went to Spain with them. And I thought to myself, in my whole life, I've never spent so much time with a couple whom we only knew initially for 1.5 hours.
right.
And this is
Isn't
so
that great?
typical of
Yeah,
people,
yeah,
the kind of bonding and
yes,
friendship. And we're still friends. We're still friends. And we've met in Spain several times. And so there's really nothing like the nudist community.
yeah.
Again, I said I'm biased. I'm very, honest about that. But they really are the most open, honest, accepting, friendly, helpful people. I really think everyone should try it. But then
Yeah.
again, that's who I am. So,
That's right. Well, very well said. And probably not a better person Anna could have chosen for the PR committee than you, Ronna Krozy. And we have been talking to Ronna Krozy, the chairperson of the PR committee for the American Association of Nude Recreation. And you mentioned AANR.com is the way to go. If they want to reach you, can they reach you through that website?
actually, I can be reached. Is ronna.crozy at anner.com.
All right. Well, very good. Great to have you on. As new information comes out, if you want to come back on with a new initiative or some big announcement, just let us know. We'll always make room for you, Ronna.
Well, thank you so much. This has been a great pleasure for me.
It's been great to have you. Great conversation. Ronna Krozy, PR chairperson of the PR committee for the American Association for Nude Recreation. And Ronna Krozy, go out there and have a great clothes-free day. We'll talk again soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. The very terrific Ronna Krozy. She's been the chairperson for the PR committee for the American Association for Nude Recreation since 2017. She's not going anywhere. She'll still be a part of the committee, so we thank Ronna Krozy for all of her time on these last two shows. Next week and the week after, episodes 61 and 62, our special guest will be the current president, Linda Weber, so make sure you stay tuned for those two episodes. Well, you've been listening to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 60 today. We give you a brand new show every Saturday morning at 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. Continue to join us. Check us out on our website, nakednudistandnaturist.com, Spotify, Google, Amazon/Audible, Apple Podcasts, and also on Twitter. You can write us anywhere, anytime, anyplace. And we thank you for being with us today. Plan to join us for every single one of our shows here and have your clothes off when you're listening. We have our clothes off when we're broadcasting, enjoying the naturist life.
We celebrate clothes-free living for all. Remember to enjoy being naked and join us again for Naked, Nudists, and Naturists.
We drop a brand new show every Saturday morning, so come back and join us. Have your clothes off when you do for Naked, Nudists, and Naturists. Have a great clothes-free day.